Let's discover exactly what a preceding direct object is, how it influences the past participle, and all this despite you having absolutely no grammatical background. Because here it is, made easy. The agreements in the past tense. Yes, you need them. Yes, you will hear them. Discover the sound changes you might hear with certain phrases too. It's all made easy, but brace. Grab a pencil and some paper as well. You might well want to take some notes. And I've done a few little exercises to check you've understood at the end. Here we go. So you're going to have some help with the grammar right from the start. Now, a normal sentence will have a subject, a verb, and an object. Now, if you're already thrown, don't switch off. Don't turn away, because it's about who is doing what. Now, that matters. Who is doing what? You could say subject, verb, object. These things can get in the way of understanding. So I'm going to make it easy with a cookie, because, hey, let's face it, we like cookies. So an example is je mange un cookie. I am eating a cookie. So the je is the I, the subject. The mange is the doing, the verb, the action. And the cookie is the what you are doing the action to. So it's a cookie. You're eating the cookie. Now, an object, now this matters because those of you at a higher level of French are starting to realise that it and to him and him, they all start changing, and you actually have to have a bit of grammar under your belt. So you have to know when the object is direct or indirect. Now, it's direct when you go straight to the object, like below with a cookie. So, je mange un cookie. There's nothing in between. So there's no a, and that's the bit that makes the difference. So, an object is indirect when you add to, like below with the cookie. This time I've changed the verb because it's an indirect verb. So, je donne le cookie à mon ami. So now you're giving it to. You've inserted this a. Now, this isn't a lesson about when a appears in English or in French. It isn't about that. It's about this one where there's no a. So we're looking at agreements in the past tense with the past participle matching what you're talking about, what you're replacing. And that's exactly what we're going to go through, which is why I say brace, because I'm going to break it right down. So let's get that verb into the perfect or the past tense first. So, je mange un cookie is j'ai mangé un cookie. Remember, if you want to work it out yourself, press pause, but I will go straight through. Now, ask the question what to find the object. Here, what is being eaten? J'ai mangé un cookie. I've eaten a cookie. So here we have it in green, a cookie. The cookie is what you're talking about. It's what you've eaten. So the cookie is the object. J'ai mangé un cookie. It could be anything. Now, the object, we're going to look at the position of this object because this is where it all happens. Now, here the object is after the verb. So this is a usual construction of the perfect tense with avoir as the auxiliary. J'ai mangé un cookie. I've eaten a cookie. Now, P.S. Quick insert here. If you're wondering what the auxiliary is and you just thought, oh, I just want to throw it all in the air, it's okay. The auxiliary is this bit extra, the bit from the verb avoir, the have part in the sentence. So here is the rest of avoir, and this is what turns up when you need to say, I have done something or I did something. This arrives in. It's called the auxiliary. So let's move on. So the object, the cookie, can replace by the word it. The cookie is the it. What did you eat? I ate it, the cookie. In English, it comes straight after the verb. I ate it. In French, it slips into position just before the verb, like this. J'ai mangé un cookie. I have eaten a cookie. J'ai mangé le cookie. The cookie's going to go. We're not going to say cookie anymore. and we're going to say, I have eaten it. Cookie has gone. And it slips in before the whole verb. In English, I have eaten it. What have we eaten? The cookie. But in French, it slips in this position. So we're going to squish it because of this little a. It's called elision. Je le ai becomes je le ai. Look on elision for one of my videos, YouTube elision by Christine Cam, Simply French Online, and you will have all this explained. But basically, je le and a goes je l'ai. It squishes together. Now, je l'ai mangé. Now, that's it. We have to now look at the agreement rule. Because when that object becomes before the past participle, that's the verb in the past, like ate, and there's no little word a in the French original, French verbs like donner à, dire à, expliquer à, meaning the verb is a direct verb, then you need to match the past participle to the object. It's just a precision in French. If again you've thought, oh no, here we go, it's easier than you think again. So, when the object comes before the past participle, there's the past participle, the action, then, okay, and there's no little word a in the French original, then the verb is direct. Here it is. It's called a PDO and it agrees with the PP. This is why we switch off in English regarding grammar. But we need to know this. So basically, what you're talking about comes before the action. It's as straightforward as that. But literally, in grammatical terms, it's a preceding because it comes before. P for preceding, it comes before. It's direct because manger hasn't got a little a and never will have done. And the object here, it's a preceding direct object. It comes before and it agrees with the past participle. So these two are friends. This one will influence the spelling of this. Let's look how. So the thing, the object, is coming before the past participle and will have an influence on it. So the thing is before the action. It's a preceding direct object and it agrees with the past participle. There's the explanation. Don't worry about it. I learnt this when I was 13 in school. The teacher walked in one day and said, we're doing preceding direct objects, and just explained it. And then we had some practice, which is what you will do later. But in layman's terms, in normal terms, those of us who skipped that class or didn't get it at the time because, hey, we never realised we were going to live in France. We never realised we were going to live our dream that emerged after all those French lessons. So the object comes before what you're talking about. What you're talking about comes before it ate. The it is going to match the ate. So let's do it. Let's just go back a bit. A direct verb versus an indirect verb. I ran through this lesson with someone who was learning it and said, but what happens here? I said, well, this is what you're going to have to park a little bit. But here it is. It's just a verb. The direct verb has not got this little a on it. When you have a, the to him or to it changes and the a turns up in this. That's a whole other lesson. I'd like you to park that for now because we're just saying it, not to it or to him. I should say to it, to woo, but oh no. Anyway, in our wisdom, we move on. So here we go, je l'ai vu. Now, we're not doing one with this in, no indirect verbs today. So, whatever your it is, there's an influence on the past participle, which is the verb in the past, and here it is vu. If your it is masculine, singular, there's no change to the past participle vu. Yes, yes, yes. But if your it is feminine, it follows the agreement rules with adjectives and things, and we stick an e on it. And if your it is plural, it will become them. So you also add an S or even ES, depending if it's feminine plural. So it's now time to play with this, make it real, get some examples. Bear with me, the cookie comes back. So do some real life examples that we were using as we ran through this with someone who was learning. So this is what popped up for them. Here we go. So if you want to say I ate the cookie, you have to know if the cookie is masculine singular. Well, let's say you didn't know. So you go, is it masculine singular, feminine singular, masculine plural, or feminine plural? And you know it's masculine singular. So you're going to leave it as it is. J'ai mangé le cookie. The cookie will get deleted or eaten, and the it will go before the verb in that position. And as you saw before, it's squished. What if it's feminine? So we're going to go through it again with the feminine thing. This is the process that will get faster and faster as you get used to it, until eventually you're not going through those steps, it just comes. So, is it masculine, feminine singular, masculine plural, feminine plural? Well, you know, because I've shown you, it's feminine singular. So what happens is, j'ai mangé la pomme, the feminine singular thing. This then is deleted here and turns up as it. And because it's feminine, this preceding direct object has a direct influence on the ending of manger. Je l'ai mangé. You don't even hear the difference. Now, this is where you start hearing the difference. As I promised at the beginning, what will happen if you have something plural? This is where you might hear it. So, j'ai mangé les cookies, we know they're masculine plural. The cookies go, they become les, and here look, je les ai mangés. That's where you'll hear it. And you'll have a little S here, because this preceding direct object, what you're talking about, will have an influence on what you did. Je les ai mangés. What? The cookies. Ah, they're masculine plural, so I'll have an S on. Now, feminine, we kind of get used to this. Je les ai mangés. We're going to put the ES on the end, and when you say it, the S will have a liaison there. Je les ai mangés. The Z sound on the liaison. Je les ai mangés. Je les ai mangés. I hear lazy, and that's why we find it hard to understand French. We hear words that we associate with English, and we're not realising what we're doing. So right now, I pause, you look at that slide and you read it out loud. Because reading things out loud helps you understand the same when you're hearing it. But don't let your brain think that it's not important. You have to do this regularly. And change the cookies, change the apples, play with it, make it real yourself by putting things in your life that you ate and practicing. So you have to adapt this, you have to apply it to your life and make it real. Then you'll be rewarded. So here's what you do. You repeat, je les ai mangés. Je les ai mangés. Je les ai mangés. You're hearing les ai, but when you hear it from a French person in the context that they've mentioned it, it's going to start making sense because you recognise that sound. You recognise it because you've heard it. Let's move on. The objects, the cookies and the apples here, are plural. So the word replacing them is them, not it, which is les in French. So, looking at it in green, the object is before the past participle, the les, before the manger, the past participle, and you have to make the past participle match or agree with the object that you are talking about. The preceding direct object will have an influence on the spelling of the past participle. And here to help you, I've put a little chart in to help you as a reminder, popping up in the future little exercises for you here so you can make sense of it. Here we go. What if the them is mixed? Do you add es or s or both? How does this work? And this also happens if you don't know what it is. The default is masculine plural. So let's look how it goes. Je les ai mangés. Remember that liaison. Je les ai mangés. By default, mixed is masculine plural. The object is before what you did, so they both match. Plural is add an S, it's masculine plural. Here it turns up, the S. Now, oops, let's get real. Oops, I deleted you. Now, I've seen this in all sorts of different places, and yep, it happens. Oops, I deleted you, I deleted it. So I actually thought we'll do this here. Pause if you don't want the answer immediately. Have a go at doing it yourself. I use the to form because it's you wouldn't delete somebody normally saying vous. I don't think you would tell them that. So here we go. Je t'ai supprimé. Now, let's explain it. If the t, it's been squished, remembered, before the AI. Je t'ai supprimé. If the t is masculine, there's no agreement or matching up. But if the t is feminine, you're going to add that extra e to the past participle. It's feminine singular. There we go. And if you really want to do vous, you're going to add an s. Now, what about this sneaky? The sneaky one, I call it, when you're not following the structure that I've just said. Well, it's not that sneaky really, but hey, it kind of makes me remember it. So the cookies I ate. The cookies I ate yesterday must have made me ill. The cookies I ate yesterday was so good I'm going to buy a load more. Whatever you want to say, the cookies I ate. Here we go. Les cookies que j'ai mangés. The object is cookies. It's before the action, the past participle. And you're going to add that S because it's a direct verb. It's a preceding direct object. What you're talking about comes before the action. Object before action. So it's got to agree. Notice I add que. I've got to add que. Les cookies j'ai mangés. It doesn't make sense in French. We are lazy in English. We say the cookies I ate, but you should be saying the cookies that I ate. You have to pop that in there. Psst, remember these. Donner à, dire à, expliquer à. It has to be direct. Okay, so I'll snuck that one in again. We know that manger is direct. There's no little à. Now, the easy version is what you're talking about is before the action you take. Match them up. That's it. Okay? Now, let's try another one. Do you want to look at the photos I took? Look at the photo. Do you want to see the photos I took yesterday whilst I was doing something? The photos I took. Pause if you want to work it out. I'm going into explaining it to you. Here we go. Les photos que, you do need that que. Les photos que j'ai prises. Can you explain it yourself? Pause. If you can explain it to somebody else, you've got it. Come back and here we go. The photos are the object. It's before the action, the past participle, so you're going to add the es. And as prendre doesn't have that little a, it's a direct verb, so it must agree with what it's connected to. The photos I took. Moving on, they've got to match up. Great so far. Ready for a quick quiz? Remember, pause as you go through if you want time to work it out. Starting with a couple of coffees. Oh, I paid for the coffees. I do a conversation cafe live in one of my local cafes. And one of the people said, oh, Christine, I've paid for the coffees. I went, oh, thank you. I paid for the coffees. I paid for the coffees. I paid for them. Je les ai payés. Don't forget to add the S. Les cafés que j'ai payés. That was the sneaky one. Did you remember it? It comes after the next one as well. So, we've delivered the wheelbarrow. Seriously, I ordered a wheelbarrow, but maybe you've got something else delivered that's feminine. But it was real. So, on a livré la brouette. Remember, we had to work out if it was feminine or masculine. Get rid of la brouette. We're going to say it. On l'a livré. We have to know if it's before and direct. Well, it is, because livré is straightforward. There's no a. And here we go. On l'a livré. It's feminine, singular. And did you remember the sneaky one? La brouette qu'on a livrée is just the same structure. Okay, so on to the final bit, and that's how can you remember these? Right, look, French people forget it. When I started learning this, I was suddenly aware of what people were writing, and it kept popping up that they forget that letter E, they forget the letter S on the past participle. Therefore, if you're forgetting it yourself, then maybe you're getting more French than you realise. Give yourself a compliment. But notice these agreements in text. Make an effort. You can do it. It's not the most important thing on the planet, but when you want to be precise, it's precision that shows that you know. And that's what is really important in French. It's an accurate, precise language. And all this matching up, well, it shows precision, and that's what it's there for. Now, you can practice creating new sentences and reducing them like we did here. Take what I've got, change that wheelbarrow for something else, change the coffees, change the cookie, swap it all round. Use that expression with que. It really works for you. And when you learn French, focus on only one point to help you consolidate what you're learning, and don't move on until you've got it. And what I should have added here was also explain with visuals to somebody else. You can't do it all at once. Do one thing at a time. Otherwise, like I say, it's like throwing confetti in the air and you can't catch it all at once. So there you go. I say learn it, speak it and live it. Adapt it, change it, make it work for you. And if you can't do it on your own, here I am. If you're struggling to speak French spontaneously and need to practice in a safe and small community with a teacher and native French people to help you, here I am. Just get in touch. Respond after this video. If you prefer small groups as well, that's exactly what we do. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. Remember, with your French, learn it, speak it, live it. Contact me if you wish by responding here or going and having a look at Conversation Cafe. www.simplyfrenchonline.com/cafe. My passion is helping you. It feels great when I get feedback and people are saying, great video, I learnt loads, thank you so much. And please don't forget, you can also ask me to make you a video. I will respond and get that video out for you. This is the video that was asked for by a member of Conversation Cafe. Here it is. I hope you enjoy it too. Merci. À la prochaine.